the Belated Binge podcast.
Hi, and thanks for watching Belated Binge on YouTube. Here we post mostly unedited footage from segments of our podcast series where we re-binge some of the most iconic series in recent memory that I was incredibly late on. Follow along as we're rereading the Harry Potter series and join the discussion in the comment section. If you enjoy it, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to not miss an episode. And of course, if you want to hear the episode in full, you can listen to Belated Binge wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, become a patron for early access and exclusive bonus content. Again, thanks for watching Belated Binge.
Foreshadow.
The foreshadow segment on the Belated Binge podcast is where we quite literally do that. We look at 4 moments in the series that we want to, or in the chapter, I guess you could say, that foreshadow something to come later in the series. And for this episode, or this couple of episodes, chapters 3 and 4 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, we kind of boiled it down. There's a little bit of a theme to them that is interesting and what honestly wasn't intentional, but a lot of these are quotes. And the first one is, "Don't think he had enough human left in him to die." This is Hagrid talking to Harry about Voldemort and why he just vanished after trying to kill Harry as a baby. And this is 100% a horcrux foreshadow. Voldemort split his soul into several pieces to become immortal, less human. We're in book 1, chapter 4 at this point, in a 7-book series arc. We already get a hint at how the big bad did what he did and what our heroes will have to contend with in order to beat him. And it's not going to happen for, seemingly ever. The second thing is that we learn that he was expelled in this chapter as well. This is a key plot point for the next book when we learn, why he was expelled. He was framed by Voldemort, by the way, for opening the Chamber of Secrets. The death of moaning Myrtle before she was moaning Myrtle in the bathroom, and his, let's call it a vacation to Azkaban that all happened in the second book. And it makes it all that more heart-wrenching when we learn in the second book that he was innocent all along. He could have been doing magic. Not only that, he could have continued his career and his education at Hogwarts. Maybe he would still be the groundskeeper. That's possible because he likes that job. Or maybe he would have gone straight into a job, with a little bit more panache. Or maybe it wouldn't have been so long for him to just become a teacher. If that's what he wanted to do, he would have had so many more options. And probably a lot fewer people who were looking at him sideways and as lesser than them, knowing that he's already different. He's a half giant, whether he says it out loud or not because of the connotation that it holds in the wizarding world. He still is. He looks different than everybody else. And these people know he's not allowed to do magic. He doesn't have a wand. He was expelled. He did something bad. He's scary. He's big and he's scary. That's ultimately what ends up, I think, happening to him in probably the majority of public eye. We know the characters that we get to know in this series don't treat Hagrid that way. But I'm sure in wizarding society, that's very common for him. And it's all because of this frame job and the fact that he was expelled. And that sucks. But it is a foreshadow. The third thing was another quote. "I was the only one who saw her for who she was, a freak." This is Petunia finally opening up about her sister, the witch. She despises her, but of course, as we mentioned earlier, we learn later in the series that Petunia was actually jealous of Lily being magical, and she wanted the opportunity to go to Hogwarts too. This is jealousy that grew and grew into the awful human that we see in these chapters. But the foreshadow here is what we learn later in The Prince's Tale about that exchange and her familiarity with the wizarding world. And not only that, but her familiarity with Snape as a character and her familiarity with things to come when she surprises us, like knowing who the Dementors were, and having genuine, genuine fear when she kind of comes to grips and has that moment of like, so this Voldemort guy is back? Like, she feels that. Whereas Vernon thinks it's just like some wacky cartoon character that's not worth his time. The fourth thing that we want to foreshadow for this episode is another quote. Nobody lived once he decided to kill him. Bad Hagrid impression, but that's his quote to Harry explaining his parents' deaths. We later learn how Harry survived, of course, through Lily's sacrifice, why Voldemort went after him in the first place, the prophecy, and of course, how Voldemort survived that rebounding killing curse through the horcruxes. So it's one little sentence, and it foreshadows so many things to come and holds a lot of weight. And these are just four, there are these Easter egg moments littered throughout all of the chapters in this series, and we're going to talk about a ton of them in this foreshadow segment, but because it's not a 12 shadow or a 15 shadow, we're not going to catch them all. So if anything stands out to you and you have any foreshadows that you would like to share with us, go ahead and let us know. You can get a hold of us on social media. You can email the show at belatedbinge@gmail.com. We're legitimately interested in what you have to say and things that you pick up on during this reread that we maybe don't share in the foreshadow segment or in our next segment, which I think is also something that would be very interesting to get more of your opinions on, and that is our game